Sup fans, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another quick spoiler-free and spoiler review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Coming up right now, if you guys enjoy the show. Alright guys, quiet on set. Scene 1, take 1. Action! Boom! Now, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to share with your friends and also hit that bell for notifications because it helps the channel a lot. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it is once again directed by James Gunn, and of course the recurring characters are here with the addition of Will Poulter, and I forgot the guy's name, but he's from Peacemaker. I love him in Peacemaker, and yeah, I just can't wait to talk about him. And basically the story is that the Guardians are racing to save Rocket's life because, well, Adam Warlock attacks the Guardians because Aisha still has some unfinished business with them from Volume 2, and they're off to race and they had to pretty much meet the High Evolutionary just to gather information and also just to know how to save Rocket's life. Basically, they have the thing to save Rocket's life, and they have to, well, of course, meet up with the High Evolutionary. Well, at the same time, you get to know more of Rocket's backstory, so it is great. And also, at the end of the day, it just comes to a full closure and fruition of the whole trilogy that we got. So right out of the gate, so basically later on during this review, by the end of this movie, at the end of this video, I'm gonna cover quickly some spoilers and all that stuff because, yeah, I really want to talk about it. And also, pretty sure a lot of people have already seen it. I believe it's almost around, or at least it just made $300 million worldwide at the box office. So I'm pretty sure a good amount of people have seen it. And also, now's the right time for people to talk about spoilers. And I'm glad I'm doing videos like this in case I don't do an early review or a video on time. I can just make it up for you guys to do a spoiler-free / spoiler review. So again, I will do the spoiler section later. So let's just get on with the review. Let's just say this. I am someone who overall still enjoyed Phase 4, but then again, I will admit that it's the weakest of the phases. I say it's weaker than Phase 2 in my opinion. It is the weakest. This is from one of the first few films to start off Phase 5. I just gotta say, guys, whew, James Gunn, shit. Boy, you made a masterpiece right here. I'm a huge fan of the Guardians films. I'm a huge fan of James Gunn myself, but then again, just because I'm a fan of these films, this does not mean, you know, I have to be extremely biased all the time. And I do have some criticisms in here, but overall, I say they're more like nitpicks than just legit flaws. But then again, this movie is flawed. It's not a perfect movie, of course, but they don't hurt the movie for me, honestly, but that's just me. So let's just get on with the positives first. The pacing is great for a movie that's 2.5 hours. It feels like a 2-hour movie, to be honest. It really is great. Cinematography, James Gunn just improves the cinematography here. It is just amazing, amazing, amazing. I think it's some of the best, if not the best camera work from the 3 movies. The soundtrack kicks ass, of course. Holy shit, it's amazing. I love the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is, in my opinion, is well used. Some it's a bit jarring. But overall, it's cool. I mean, No Sleep Till Brooklyn from Beastie Boys works well at a famous climactic scene near the 3rd act of the film. Everybody talks about that part, and I will talk about it in a few moments. But overall, the soundtrack's amazing. The acting is amazing. For me, though, the one who steals the show was Bradley Cooper's voice acting as Rocket Raccoon. Holy shit. Oh, what an amazing performance. Especially when they go to the flashback scenes. It is so dark and sad that Bradley Cooper put it all here, man. I really freaking enjoyed his performance here. Everybody does a good job too, as Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, and everybody else. Dave Bautista has a shining moment around the 3rd act, or the late in the 2nd act. I'll talk about it in the spoiler section, but man, he has some time. Everybody has a time to shine. Palm, I forgot her. I don't want to butcher her last name, but the lady that plays Mantis, she has a time to shine. Every single character has a time to shine. Even some of the lesser characters, I'll get into later in more of my negatives of the film. But man, it is great. The acting is great. The pacing is great. Cinematography is great. The soundtrack is great. Even the score is great too. And just the tone of it. When I first saw this, I had to see this movie twice. Originally, I wanted to do a spoiler-free review for you guys on Friday. But I needed to see it again. So I saw it twice already, and I actually finally get to form my final judgment on that. And it's, when it comes to the dark moment, the darker tone of this film, I really felt that it kind of took me off a bit from the first two, because the first two films are very very, you know, giddy in a way, but it still has dark ass moments, serious moments. But here is pretty, it still has the funny, fun moments too, which I'm glad, but this is extremely dark when it comes to the tone, in my opinion. But then again, I don't think it's too intense. Like, she's seen these parents protesting on this film, and you know, fucking raise your kids for once, goddammit. That's my only rant right there for the parents who are bitching about this film being too violent for kids. But overall, it is violent. It is the most violent. It has some body horror moments because James Gunn he wrote with trauma, and he brings his freaking horror elements into this more often, more so than the other two. And Jesus, it is dark. I gotta say, with Rocket's backstory, it is freaking dark. But overall, I don't think it's too violent, honestly. At first, I didn't think this was safe for kids to see originally, but then again, when I rewatched it, I'm like, no, the kids will be fine seeing this movie, to be honest. Kids will be fine. Thank goodness I saw it again, just in case. Because there are some scenes that did make me feel squeamish, because I love animals. I'm an animal lover myself, and some of these scenes, especially if you're an animal lover, this will be a bit squeamish and kind of a hard watch a bit if you're too sensitive for that. But when I saw it the second time, it didn't bother me that much, and it was just like, it went by smoother, and it was awesome. And I did, of course, shed a few tears in this movie, of course, because, of course, it is not only because it's sad and dark and it's all that stuff, but it's also because this is the last time you're gonna see, this is the last time you're gonna see this team together, and it's sad. It's a very, yeah. When I say this, before I get onto the negatives, I gotta say to end on the positive, this movie is fun, dark, action-packed, funny, but also melancholy. You know. It's sad, it's bittersweet. It's a bittersweet ending, and I think this movie is very satisfactory and it gives closure. I feel that this is the proper, aside from Spider-Man No Way Home, I think this is one of the most proper installments in the newer MCU films. Basically a great epilogue to Endgame. So it's a nice companion piece to that. Now let's just get on to my negatives. One of my negatives is Adam Warlock. He's more of a nitpick because Adam Warlock really, I had to agree with a lot of people. The criticisms of Adam Warlock is that he feels such an afterthought and shoehorned in, where like he's wasted, but I don't think it's completely wasted, because I say they put him in the good use near the end of the film, but you can easily cut him out and he is just basically wouldn't impact the story at all. That honestly, yeah, and also, yeah, it's a bit messy here and there when it comes to that. Even though this movie goes in a fast pace, in my opinion, there is some shoddy moments here and there when it comes to pacing of the film, but overall, it doesn't really bother me much, to be honest. I actually want to jump, before I close the spoilers-free section of the review, I also want to talk about the High Evolutionary. He is not a third-dimensional villain, but I gotta say, James Gunn knows how to make a disgustingly irredeemable, hateable villain. I really hated this villain so much, but that's a good thing, not the bad thing about it. I really hated this villain in a good way, where I really was rooting for his demise. Because the High Evolutionary is, holy shit, you really want him dead. Like, you don't want him defeated, you want him dead. Like, I actually wanted to get into the movie and strangle him, because holy shit, he's such a despicable human being. And the actor, he does an amazing job at it. Holy shit, he's so good at it. And, whew, man, the High Evolutionary, man, what a dick. He does something around the second act of the film, which I will not spoil, and is that he just goes nuts. So if I were to give the film a rating, I'll give it a perfect 5 out of 5, despite my criticisms and all that stuff. I say this still is a masterpiece, because I don't think it overshadows. I don't think the negatives, in my opinion, overshadow everything. It doesn't ruin the experience for me, though, because I'm glad I also saw it a second time, where it originally bothered me, but then the second time I watched it, I'm like, I mean, it is what it is. Because even though Will Poulter, like Adam Warlock, was pretty much wasted, Will Poulter does, in my opinion, he does a great performance. He's fun. He is funny. I like Adam Warlock in this movie. It's just that he just feels wasted and shouldn't even be there. But overall, this movie satisfied the shit out of me. It's actually one of the best comic book trilogies of all time, the Guardians of the Galaxy, man. I really love the first two, and this one just as much, so I'm happy with this, and I cannot wait to pre-order the 4K once it's actually up for pre-order. Now, spoiler alert, because now we get on to the spoiler section. So I'm gonna talk about Adam Warlock a bit. Even though he was pretty much kind of sidelined, it doesn't feel like he belongs in the movie. He doesn't really belong in the movie when you think about it. It is, freaking Will Poulter was freaking funny, man. He's he's just funny in that movie because he befriends one of the creatures from one of the Ravagers that he kills. He incinerates, and you see his burning corpse and shit. But he's funny. But I like that he becomes a Guardian of the Galaxy at the end of the movie. Before I think around mid credits, and in one of the mid credits scenes, he becomes one of the Guardians of the Galaxies, because Rocket becomes the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxies, and he becomes the leader of Rocket becomes the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of the film. And I love that Adam gets recruited and everybody else is great. I mean, Groot's still there and Kraglin is there. He's kind of like the new Yondu, and I love that. Kraglin is amazing too, and Cosmo was great too. I just love that. Oh my god, Cosmo was great. Kraglin was great. They have this rivalry between the two of them. How just freaking Cosmo just hates being called a bad dog. But I mean, at the end of the film, of course, he calls her a good dog, which is great. I like that a lot. Near the climax, Rocket's backstory is holy shit. It starts very like a horror film, and the first few scenes when he starts talking, he's covered in his own blood. He has his skull scalped a bit. Like, well, you could tell they scalped his skull and then they put it back after surgery, but just to see a baby raccoon just shivering and covered in his own blood is like, fuck me. Fucking shit. Oh, and especially near the end where like Lila and Floor and Teeth, they all get shot and he starts crying, and the High Evolutionary makes fun of him for that, and then he just mauls at his face, and you see blood pouring down Evolutionary's face. Is great. And then, oh man, oh, that's just sad. This is actually a pretty sad and messed up backstory for Rocket, and it just adds so much dimension to when he brings it up in the first movie. It just adds so much to it and so much context, and it's great. I also like that Gamora, the way they handled her, is that I'm glad that they didn't go the safe route and hook up with Star-Lord or the Peter at the end. They actually don't end up together, and then Peter grows from it. Instead, he's gonna go out and reunite with his grandfather that he hasn't seen since he got abducted by Yondu by orders of Ego. I like that they don't hook up at the end. I really like that a lot. Drax has his father moment, because even though he wasn't the Drax the Destroyer pretty much from the comics at all, he still gets closure here by becoming a father figure for the kids that they were experimenting on, how Evolution was experimenting on. And I like that a lot. I really like that because he was born to be a father. He wasn't born to be a destroyer, and I really like that. Gamora, Nebula points it out, and Nebula has great maternal moments. Man, she just snaps at Mantis and Drax, where just get your shit together. I really love that. Can you just stop being stupid for once? I love that. I love that. I just love Gamora. Again, I love Gamora and Nebula, but man, Nebula has such shining moments, man. Everybody gets their own closure. Even Rocket gets their own closure. Before, like, we get that badass hallway scene, we have freaking Rocket looks at the hallway and just goes, "I am done running." And there's that famous hallway scene where they play Beastie Boys, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. I think that's from Beastie Boys, I'm not sure, but yeah, that is Beastie Boys. That was badass, long shots, quick shots, and everybody's basically, this is close to an R-rated movie, sort of like that. Just so everybody gets shanked, dismembered. Groot just impales a dude and mangles him. As far as I remember, I think some of his roots just expand out of some guy's body. It's just freaking great. All these abominations and body horror creatures just coming out of just from, I don't know, being dormant and shit after the High Evolutionary wants an army because just nowhere, like the planet nowhere, and the Guardians are just attacking from both ends. And I just love that. I just love it. High Evolutionary, man. I love when he gets his ass kicked, Gamora peels his face off, and you see his disgusting bone-like face after Rocket like mauls the shit out of him when he was a baby, when he was younger. Holy shit, that was... Ooh, shit, this is very R-rated in many ways, but I love that. I love that a lot. That's a good thing. I like that a lot, man. It's great. It doesn't break new grounds for MCU like that, but I still think it's refreshing. You know, in a way, it's refreshing, and the jokes just land too. There's a scene where, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the movie, there's a scene where, I don't know if you guys caught this at first, or maybe you guys did, because it's obviously framed. This is perfect joke in my opinion, where We're based after the scene with Groot and Peter. They started doing a shootout at the spacecraft, the High Evolutionary. They grab one of the guys so they can extract the thing to save Rocket's life. They dive out of the ship, but Nebula, Mantis, and Drax, they try to break into the spaceship, and because it was already launching, but they're falling from 1,000 feet above the ground. And there's a fucking funny joke where they're trying to save Peter, and Peter's in there, but you see Peter and Groot holding the dude just diving down. You hear him scream, I believe, a bit, and it's just so funny. It's so well shot and so well executed and well acted too. It's fucking funny, man. I really love that a lot. And that ending, that bitter sweet ending, where like everybody goes their separate ways, and then Rocket becomes the leader of the Guardians. It's just bittersweet. It's nice to see Rocket just be happy for once, man. Not for once. You see, he's always been happy, but he's just seeing Rocket being happy is like everything, all his conscience, everything, all that, like all of his closure just comes together, and it's like he can finally just rest and just, you know, do what he's good for doing, which is, of course, fly rockets, of course, and just be the leader of the Guardians. And I love that a lot. I just love that this is just Rocket's story. When you really think about it, when you watch all three of these back to back, it is Rocket's story. When you think about it, and I really like that everybody gets their ending. Even like when Mantis leaves, you see Drax just crying and saying goodbye, but then they all try to dance together with the kids, and it's just great. Everybody's smiling, everybody's screaming, everybody's having a good time, and it just feels so sweet. It feels like a nice goodbye to this team. It really is. It's very melancholy, you know? I'm happy with that. All right, guys, so that is my Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review. Non-spoiler and spoiler review. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you guys so much for watching my video. So let me know down in the comments down below, have you guys seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? What you guys think about it? Please let me know down in the comments section down below. I'd like to hear your opinions on it. So this is Javi from Javi Productions signing off, and hope you guys enjoyed the show.